IVM.
I'm Zarina Poonawalla, host of the Empowering Series podcast on the IVM network. I am your peak performance coach and leadership coach, and I'm here to share with you productivity tools, life-altering techniques, and real-life hacks to help you achieve your maximum potential in everything you do, in your relationships, professions, and most importantly, your life. So let's thrive, grow, and evolve together, one episode at a time. In 2017, a young 7-year-old girl sent a letter to the CEO of Google, Sundar Pichai, stating that her dream was to work with Google when she gets bigger. That wasn't the only fascinating part. It was also the fact that Sundar Pichai made it a point to respond to that little girl with encouraging words, believing in her dreams and motivating her. To the extent that he said he's looking forward to her job application after school. This happens to be one of the many stories that highlight qualities of Pichai and make him one of the most followed leaders in the world. There are many amazing lessons from leaders across the world, and not just because of the fame and the riches that they've gathered, but their leadership styles and their ability to showcase proof of concept. Let's take some lessons from Sundar Pichai, the man whose leadership style is known to be affiliative and is much talked about across the globe. And of course, since he's of Indian descendant, he's one of us, he's homegrown, and learning from a homegrown leader makes it all the more relatable, doesn't it? So, whatever I've followed of his work in terms of interviews or blogs or a speech, here are the top 5 lessons for you. And trust me, they are good. Starting with the one I often talk about, and in fact, it's literally the same thoughts that I've shared with you before. Wear your failure as a badge of honor. Never stop trying. Never give up. And never be afraid of taking risks. And in fact, if you're afraid of taking risks, try and take calculated risks sometimes. Do something that excites you. Follow your heart. Follow your dreams. Take action. Be passionate about something. Be ambitious and be driven. Do whatever excites you and do it well. Work with people who keep pushing you. This is very interesting. It's just amazing to work with people who make you push your limits. Most of us try and work with people who boost us and make us feel good about ourselves and feed our egos. But actually, it's great to work with people who are skilled and talented and people who you can learn from. And for that, you need to know one thing, that you don't know everything. This also goes back to my episode on constructive criticism. So that may be a great episode for you to listen to if you need help on how to push people and give them some critical feedback so that they can work on themselves and improvise. Humility never goes out of style. The Google CEO not only preaches this, but also actively practices being humble. He isn't known to be arrogant or boastful. On the contrary, people just love him for his down-to-earth persona. So never forget your roots and where you come from. Niceties, humility, and modesty never go out of fashion. In his words, nice guys do finish first. As leaders, focus on others' growth and success too, not just your own. This is one of the most spectacular leadership traits. To help others succeed, eliminate roadblocks for them, and coach them into being successful at whatever they do, because honestly, it is so empowering to empower others. So there you are, a couple of lessons from one of the foremost global leaders. Wear your failures as a badge of honor. Do something that excites you. Work with people who keep pushing you. Be humble and focus on other people's growth while you focus on your own. If you're looking to imbibe and inculcate some strong leadership qualities, I reckon you could start here. And let me know how that goes. Be safe, be well, be empowered. If you liked this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcasts.com. You can also follow us on our social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram.
I hope you enjoyed that show. If you aren't following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I'd like to thank the sponsors on the network this week, Cred, thewholetruthfoods.com, PayPal, and Seat Tires. We really do appreciate the support. So the last year's been tough for all of us, and the second wave of COVID really hit us badly. To help those affected by the pandemic in India, the podcasting community has come together under the Pod for Change banner to raise funds through an exclusive NGO partner, Give India. Join IVM and Pod for Change as we look to make a positive impact in the life of those affected by COVID-19. You can go to tinyurl.com/podforchangeindia, and remember, somebody could really use the help. And now back to the promo. On the Simplified podcast, the gang explains the oxygen crisis happening in the country and tells us the various measures being taken to tackle it. On States of Anarchy, Hamsani Hariharan talks about how the geopolitical relationships shaped COVID response and the world order. As Indians, we're all familiar with acid reflux or heartburn, given the spicy food we consume. On The Habit Coach, Ashton has some simple solutions to counter that. Vatsama Moria explores the iconic neighborhood of Dadar and tells us its connection to outer space in Postcards from Nowhere. It was Dangle time on The Fighting Goat, as hosts Somesh and Arjun were joined by unbeaten MMA fighter and Commonwealth gold medalist Ritu Fogart. The traveling professor Siddharth Deshmukh shares examples of various innovations that came up during the COVID times and helped us deal with this situation. And with that, we hope to see you again next week.
Namaskar, dear friends. My name is Ashish Vidyarthi. Life, as you know, is a journey. And you and I, travelers, how can we celebrate this travel? I have a podcast for you. Begin the Journey. I share stories and moments from my life. Do tune in every Monday and Thursday to listen to my podcast on the IVM Podcast website, app, or wherever you get your podcast from. Cheers.